And away we go, episode 1240 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is the day after we got a look at the future. The Washington Commanders and the global design firm HKS on Thursday morning released conceptual renderings of the team stadium to be built on the RFK Stadium site in Washington, D.C., and the renderings looked spectacular. Really cool to see what this stadium is projected to look like. I read to you from a press release from the team. Quote, today, the Washington Commanders and HKS unveiled the first conceptual renderings of the team's new world-class stadium. The Roof Stadium will be a dynamic year-round destination for sports, entertainment, and community engagement, integrating sustainable design practices and reimagining the fan experience through immersive spaces. HKS, a global design firm recognized for shaping some of the world's most iconic sports and entertainment venues, was selected as the lead architect for the stadium in November and has developed the first round of visuals in partnership with the Commanders team. HKS's portfolio includes SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. As illustrated in the renderings, the proposed stadium, which will be able to accommodate up to 70,000 plus people, is envisioned as a catalyst for surrounding mixed-use development, delivering lasting value for district residents while serving as both a neighborhood gathering place and a national stage, end quote. I am not going to pretend that I know a ton about global design firms, but the fact that the portfolio of HKS includes three of the best stadiums in the NFL in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. That says a lot. HKS seems to know what it is doing. 2030 remains the target for the opening of the Commanders' new stadium. Hello and welcome to this Friday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, a great guest with whom we'll discuss the Commanders' LaMont Jordan, former NFL running back, legendary former Maryland running back, and current sideline analyst for radio broadcasts of Maryland football games. LaMont and I went to Maryland at the same time, 1997 to 2001. I called Lamont's games for Maryland student radio station, the mighty WMUC, during our senior year, and I had the pleasure of having Lamont on as a guest on the radio plenty of times, so it's nice to bring him to the podcast. And what I really like about Lamont as a guest is he's knowledgeable and he has strong opinions. And your next segment will hear those opinions. Your next segment will hear LaMont Jordan on the Commanders' receiving core being too slow, the areas in which quarterback Jayden Daniels most needs to improve, what Lamont would like offensive coordinator David Blough's offense to be in terms of style, whether the team should go into the 2026 season with Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, and Chris Rodriguez Jr. as the top two running backs, who Lamont likes best out of Croskey-Merritt and Rodriguez, whether the Commanders should be open to taking Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love with the number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, what the biggest problem for the defense in the 2025 season was, and more. LaMont Jordan, next segment, talking Commanders, and also on the show, conversation about the Washington Capitals. They, over their last 20 games now, are just 7-9-4, a 3-2 loss to the San Jose Sharks at Capital One Arena on Thursday night. Before we get to feedback, the Commanders on Thursday, per reports, were expected to interview fired Arizona Cardinals head coach and former Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon for the Commanders defensive coordinator job. But we on Thursday otherwise had no news regarding the Commanders coaching staff. First quiet day on that front in a while. The reporting now is that the defensive coordinator search is expected to last at least until next week. We'll see. But the indications now are that this defensive coordinator search could take a while. In stark contrast to the offensive coordinator search, right? It was last Friday evening that we had the reports that the Commanders were promoting assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator, and then the Commanders the following day, Saturday morning, announced having promoted David Blough to offensive coordinator. The Commanders, of course, have got to be better on defense, but it is worth noting that of the 8 teams playing in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs this this weekend. 4 of the teams have excellent defenses, but 4 of the teams have bad defenses. This is quite the discrepancy. Your rankings for these teams in terms of total defense per DVOA for the 2025 regular season. The Seattle Seahawks, number 1. The Houston Texans, number 2. The Los Angeles Rams, number 4. The Denver Broncos, number 5. But also, the Buffalo Bills, number 20. The New England Patriots, number 23. The Chicago Bears, number 25. And the San Francisco 49ers, number 27. So the 8 defenses playing in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs this weekend include 4 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, but also 4 of the 13 worst defenses in the NFL. So you could use the teams playing this weekend any way that you like when it comes to proving or disproving the value of defense. Offense matters more than defense in the modern NFL, but defense matters, and our team very much needs to fix its defense. Also, I wanted to play something from the joint season-ending press conference of Philadelphia Eagles Executive Vice President and General Manager Howie Roseman and Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni on Thursday afternoon. Take a listen to this from Roseman.
Can I clarify one thing? Because I think it's important for our fans to understand. You know, you can do whatever it takes to win now and still build for the future and still have those parallel paths. You know, I just don't want it to get confused that we can't do whatever it takes to build a championship caliber team next year and also continue to have really good players on this team for the future. So, you know, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that.
All right, I really like that from Howie Roseman, and no Eagles fan am I, but I do think that Howie Roseman is really good. You know, he to me is an elite NFL executive, and what he said right there is 100% correct and is 100% applicable to the Commanders. An NFL team absolutely can both be in win-now mode and be in build for the future mode. You can do both at once, and this is what Commanders general manager Adam Peters needs to be doing with a high-level quarterback and Jayden Daniels on a rookie contract, but also a roster that needs some work, okay? Win now while building for the future. Not easy to do, I get that, but this can be done, and the Eagles have been doing that, and a big part of that is drafting well. And the results for Adam Peters over his first 2 NFL drafts as Commanders GM have been mixed at best. He needs to kill it in the 2026 NFL draft. This is a big draft that is coming up for Adam Peters. The Commanders need more picks in the 2026 NFL draft. The Commanders in the 2026 NFL draft have just 6 picks, including just 2 picks over the first 4 rounds. So the number 7 overall pick, a 3rd round pick, a 5th round pick, 2 6th-round picks, and a 7th-round pick. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on us on Monday's show, episode 1236, having some scheduled fun with the Commanders promoting assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator as I referenced the all-time great song Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. LL Cool J at one point in the song says, "Blough, how you like me now?" And I said that is what Commanders head coach Dan Quinn is saying to his critics off promoting David Blough to offensive coordinator. Blough, how you like me now? Blough, how you like me now? Yeah, Blough, how you like me now? From Chris Merle on X, writes Chris, "I'm absolutely loving the Blough, how you like me now drop, but it feels like we need a GIF to pair with the drop." Thank you for that, Chris. Hey, I'm open to suggestions on an appropriate GIF. Email from Eric E. Writes Eric E. "Hey, Al, I hope all is well. You referencing LL Cool J's song, Mama Said Knock You Out for Blough, How You Like Me Now, reminded me of the In Living Color parody of that song with Jimmy Walker, a.k.a. Kid Dynamite from Good Times, which I know you're a fan of. The parody is titled, Mama's Gonna Kick Me Out. Funny as heck. Any chance you can play any of that parody?" Thank you for the email, Eric E. I could play some of that, but it does work a lot better with video. You can find the skit on YouTube. Sean Wayans of In Living Color as actor Jimmy Walker. The song Mama's Gonna Kick Me Out instead of Mama Said Knock You Out. Jimmy Walker, who on the show Good Times played the iconic character James J.J. Evans Jr., who had the iconic catchphrase, Dynamite.
Dynamite!
Yeah, there you go. Not dynamite, dynamite. Jimmy Walker, thankfully, is still with us, is still alive. He's now 78. Good Times was before my time, but I, as a kid, watched the reruns of the show on Channel 20 here in the Washington, D.C. area. Email from Daryl on the Commanders 2 years ago, hiring Dan Quinn and not Mike McDonald. Writes Daryl. Great pod as always. I am not a Commanders fan. I'm a Broncos fan, but listen to your pod because I was surprised at Cliff getting canned. My question for you is this. Didn't your new owner completely fumble the Mike McDonald hire? I am pretty sure that is accurate. If that is the case, do you trust these decisions? Honest question. I missed the Nats Chat podcast. I sure wish the Nats would actually hire some players who play baseball instead of more front office folks. Geesh, insanity. Very, very disappointed in the lack of on-field improvements despite countless front office hirings. Happy New Year and keep up the great work. Thank you very much for that, Daryl. Same to you. We just did a new installment of the Nats Chat podcast, an emergency installment of the pod off the Nats on Monday morning, announcing the launch of Nationals.tv, marking the end of their 21-season run with Masson. I do get the frustration with the Nats' lack of player acquisitions, but what the team is doing in modernizing and upgrading its baseball operations is awesome and much needed, and I'm very encouraged by what the Nats are doing in that regard. Keep in mind, if you don't have the right people, you won't get the right players. And so you first need the right people, and then you can get the right players. So Mike McDonald, whether the Commanders chose Dan Quinn over Mike McDonald or settled for Dan Quinn off losing out on Mike McDonald, we still do not know. We may never know. The Seattle Seahawks on January 31st, 2024 announced having hired McDonald as their head coach. The Commanders on February 3rd, 2024 announced having hired Quinn as their head coach. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, he on February 2nd, 2024 reported that the Commanders had offered their head coaching job to McDonald. Quote, per a league source, new Seahawks coach Mike McDonald also had an offer from the Commanders. It was extended after Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson removed his name from consideration for the job, end quote. Also, Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4, he on episode 755 of this podcast said that he had heard something similar to what Mike Florio had reported. And Commanders insider Ben Standig, then with The Athletic, and NFL insider Diana Rossini of The Athletic, they co-authored a piece that came out on February 5th, 2024. The headline of the piece, quote, how the Commanders landed on Dan Quinn amid twists, turns, and outrageous actions, end quote. The piece included this on the Commanders, McDonald, and Ben Johnson. Quote, once Johnson was out of the running, the Commanders thought they were going to get McDonald until the Seahawks swooped in with more money, league sources told The Athletic, end quote. So if you go off all of that, the Commanders wanted Mike McDonald over Dan Quinn, but the money thing is odd. If you want someone as your head coach, you should pay whatever it takes to get that person. Money should not be an obstacle. There is no salary cap for coaches, and NFL ownership groups are loaded with money. So not getting the head coach who you want because of money should not happen. It's a funny deal with the Commanders' head coaching search in the 2024 offseason. People remember and still bring up the Ben Johnson saga. What people perhaps do not remember and certainly rarely bring up is what was reported about the Commanders and Mike McDonald. Though we on this podcast have talked about what was reported about the Commanders and McDonald plenty of times. And Daryl, as an astute observer, brought up what was reported about the Commanders and McDonald. Mike McDonald over 2 regular seasons as Seahawks head coach is 24-10. Not bad. Hey, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can write a review of the podcast saying that you like it. The review can be just a sentence or two, but the reviews help out the podcast a lot. Thank you for doing them. As we wait on what will happen in the Washington Commanders defensive coordinator search, and as we assess the team this past Saturday morning announcing having promoted assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator, and as we process the team going 5-12 in the NFL's 2025 regular season, it is a pleasure to welcome to the Al Galdi podcast for the first time former NFL running back, a legendary former Maryland running back, and current sideline analyst for radio broadcasts of Maryland football games, LaMont Jordan. LaMont played for Maryland for the 1997 through 2000 seasons. He is Maryland's all-time leader in rushing yards and yards from scrimmage. He was taken by the New York Jets in the second round of the 2001 NFL Draft. He played in the NFL for 9 seasons, 2001 through 2009. He, for the Oakland Raiders in the 2005 regular season, had 1,025 rushing yards and 563 receiving yards. So the Raiders head coach at the time was former Redskins head coach Norv Turner. Lamont, it is great to talk to you. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to be able to talk ball with you again.
Absolutely. So the Commanders' disaster of a 2025 season, lots of injuries, but also plenty of other problems. What went wrong for the team this season?
First off, I thought the team was just too old. They looked very slow. And offensively, I don't think that I don't like the way the roster was built from an offensive standpoint. I think the wide receiver core was significantly slower than it was last year. Anytime your number one receiver, who in my opinion is a top 10 receiver in the league, and oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm having McLaurin. When he's not in camp and then he's hurt, it was just an overall disastrous season for them. The offense was just slow. I wasn't a fan of the lack of a run game. And God, Doc and I, we talk often. I've been saying it for years that I want a fullback. I think that the Commanders need to have some type of offense that uses the fullback. Injuries happen. I mean, you could look at Shanahan out there in San Francisco. I want to say since he's taken over as the head coach, he's always dealing with a multitude of injuries, and somehow he still finds a way to make things work. So I just think between the injuries, I feel like Lattimore signing set Mikey back because it really didn't allow him to get settled in as an outside corner, which I think that he's a legit outside corner. And so just everything just fell apart. And offensively for the Commanders in Dan Quinn's first year, it's fresh. Everything is fresh. You have new ownership. You have a new head coach. You have Cliff Kingsbury as your offensive coordinator. And so that first year, it doesn't surprise me that they had the success that they had offensively. But once, as a play caller, a team gets a year worth of film on you, now they get to come back and study your tendencies, things of that nature. And I feel like it just kind of caught up with them. And so not having, in my opinion, I think the Commanders, even the way the roster was set up, to me was a bottom 5 to bottom 7 wide receiver core. And I feel like that I'm being generous with just even saying bottom 7. And then just the lack of a willingness to commit to any type of run game. And of course, the defense just it would not, there's a lot of guys that were part of this defense that I just did not feel like when they came here were going to be the answer. And so I'm really interested to see how they do things this offseason.
The Commanders' QB1, Jayden Daniels, all-time great rookie season last season, injury-plagued season this season. Do you have any doubts about him being the guy for the team at quarterback?
He's definitely the guy. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. I think Jayden, the skill set that he came into the NFL with, the humble mentality that he has, the work ethic that he has, Jayden is going to be a great quarterback in the National Football League for some time if he can stay healthy. I think the thing that he needs to work on is timing throws, for making sure that he's doing a good job of throwing guys open. I'm not really concerned with Jayden. The one thing that I will say about him is his pocket presence has to get better. I think there were too many times that he could have stepped up in the pocket and maneuvered in the pocket a little bit better. I think that that's an area that I feel like Caleb has especially this year has shown that he's better than Jayden, and that's just his ability to manipulate and maneuver within the pocket. But again, you also have to have wide receivers that are going to get open, and so I have no concern about Jayden right now. Yes, injuries happen, and I know people will say that quarterbacks can get hurt just being pocket passers. While that is true, Jayden is not the quarterback that's built to be a running quarterback. I don't think that he does a great job of protecting himself as a runner. I don't like the comparison of putting him as a runner in the same family as a Lamar, as a Josh Allen. He's not that type of runner. His body is not built, and he doesn't protect himself in a way that says that he's that type of runner. But I have no concerns with him. I think that moving forward, him being in an NFL style of offense, I think Cliff's offense is more geared towards college, where Cliff's offense is going to have a lot of success if he has really fast wide receivers and he has a guy in the slot that's dangerous in the screen game, which is why you saw Debo have so much success here, which is why you saw Debo had the success that he had in San Francisco. He is a scheme type wide receiver. So I just want Jayden to play in some form of an NFL offense that gives him a run game to support what he's capable of doing.
What would you like David Blough's Commanders offense to be in terms of style?
I would like it to look like an NFL offense. And to me, an NFL offense is more of what a Ben Johnson runs, is more of what Kyle Shanahan runs. The New England Patriots. If you look at Josh McDaniels and the New England Patriots over the years, Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history, for a number of years, he had a fullback and he had a halfback and he had a tight end that was not only a threat in the passing game, he also had tight ends who can run block. So I like to see the offense be more powerful, man. I talk to Doc about this all the time. I believe every franchise has an identity. The Washington Redskins identity was smash mouth tough football. And yeah, we won some Super Bowls where we were able to throw the ball, but the identity is tough defense and being able to run the ball. So I want to see those. I would like to see these guys lean more on an NFL style run game. You look at what Minnesota was able to do with Kevin O'Connell. They run the ball. And so between Ben Johnson, between the coaches that he's played for, their offenses are centered around having a strong run game.
Would you feel comfortable with the Commanders going into next season with the same top three running backs as the team had as this season went on? Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Jeremy McNichols. Rodriguez in the 2026 offseason is set to be a restricted free agent. McNichols in the 2026 offseason is set to be an unrestricted free agent. But what about running it back at running back with that top three of Bill, Rodriguez, and McNichols?
I think that they are fine with the three backs that they had this year. I think that they complement one another well. Rodriguez is more of the hammer, but all three running backs have shown that they have the ability to run between the tackles. McNichols has proven to be, in my opinion, a really good third down back. And I think that Rodriguez is just one of those backs. And listen, when I played running back, the more you give me the ball with a certain type of plays, the more I'm able to get a feel for the defense. I can manipulate the linebackers more. As a big back, when you're getting downhill and you're hitting the holes and you're picking up yards, linebackers have a tendency to get a little impatient and they start overrunning plays. And so that opens up cutback lanes. So I think the Commanders have too many holes to fill for them to go and spend a lot of money on a running back. When I look at the free agent running backs right now, Breece Hall, in my opinion, is by far the best free agent running back. But the price that you're going to have to pay to get him, I just don't think that the Commanders can afford it. If you're going to look to upgrade, I like the boy Williams, that's a free agent now out of Dallas. When I look, Javonte Williams, he's an unrestricted free agent this year. I think that he's a back that you take a look at where Maybe you don't have to break the bank to get him, but I do think that he would be an upgrade to the backfield.
Jacory Croskey-Merritt versus Chris Rodriguez. Who do you like better?
I like Rodriguez. I like Rodriguez. I think that those two kind of give you the 1-2 punch that's kind of similar to what Ben Johnson had in Detroit with Swift and Montgomery. Although both of those running backs are better than both Merritt and Rodriguez, you still have that similar style. You have your hammer, then you have the guy that when he gets the ball in his hands, he can go the distance. When I think about Bill, the two things that he has to work on, I'm not a fan of how many times he put the ball on the ground. And when I believe he was signed as a free agent or he was a late round draft pick. Your opportunities to make mistakes with ball security and pass protection, you don't get as much grace as a guy that's a starter. So I like to see him work on his pass pro, do a better job of protecting the ball. But I think that both of those guys are fine given the state of just how much the Commanders actually need. And when I look at the free agents in the running back market, besides Javonte Williams, I just don't see a guy that you can bring in here that's going to be significantly better than those two. And most of these guys in the free agency, you're actually going to have to pay them more than what you're going to have to pay, I think, to bring Rodriguez back to sign a McNichols. So I think keeping the three backs that you have, maybe if there's a back that's good that slips to the later rounds where you've taken care of everything else. But I just don't. Besides Javonte Williams, I just don't see a need for the Commanders to really make a move at the running back position.
Much more with LaMont Jordan in moments, but if you enjoy this podcast, check out BGO Blind Pig, the official podcast of BGObsession.com. BGO Blind Pig is great. It is a roundtable discussion of the Washington Commanders. It's like you and a bunch of your buddies who are Commanders fans are hanging out and talking about the team. The conversation is smart and fun and respectful. The latest episode includes analysis of the team promoting David Blough to offensive coordinator. You can find the BGO Blind Pig podcast on YouTube and on any major podcast provider. Make BGObsession.com the home for your burgundy and gold obsession, and make the BGO Blind Pig podcast part of your Commanders podcast rotation. We're talking Commanders with former NFL running back and legendary former Maryland running back LaMont Jordan. The Commanders, in having the number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, would seem to have a realistic chance of being able to take the guy who is widely viewed as the best running back in the draft, Notre Dame's Jeremiyah Love. Should they be open to taking him at 7?
No, they have too many other needs. I think that you would be better off if you're going to take an offensive skill player, and I haven't looked at the film yet, but I would take whoever is the best wide receiver available if you're going to spend that draft pick on an offensive skill player. I think that for me, it's if you're going to, like I said, if it's going to be an offensive skill player, make it the best wide receiver in the draft. Meaning he has to be a guy with speed, who runs great routes, who can also make things happen with the ball in his hand after the catch. Or you go and you get the best defensive lineman, or you go and you get the best corner. I don't necessarily feel like you spend that pick on a linebacker unless this linebacker is just one of the top 5 players in the draft. I feel like at the linebacker position, getting a guy that is coming off of his rookie year who has some type of playing time, it would be the way to go at the linebacker position. But I do not think that they should spend that pick on a running back.
You've mentioned the need for the Commanders to get faster at receiver. Deebo Samuel Sr. in the 2026 offseason is set to be an unrestricted free agent. Should the team re-sign him?
Ooh, listen, this is my opinion about Deebo. I think Deebo is a system wideout. When he was with the 49ers, he was the third option. When you come into a game, and I'm thinking about when Deebo was with the 49ers, when you come into a game as a defensive, if I'm putting on my head coaching set right now, and I'm getting ready to play against the 49ers with Deebo, number 1, we got to stop McCaffrey. Number 2, we have to stop Kittle. Deebo is the third person that I'm worried about. If I have an offense where I have two wide receivers on the field, I have Terry McLaurin, is Deebo Samuels a legit number two wide receiver? And I'm saying right now, I would rather that they go somewhere else. I would much rather have Christian Kirk over Deebo. And don't get me wrong, Debo does some great things. He brings that physical nature when he has the ball in his hands. And I'm not saying that Debo is a bum or anything like that. I think that Debo is a solid wide receiver. But I think that he's a wide receiver that he's a good slot guy if you have two dominant wide receivers on the outside, or if you have a tight end that can actually be a threat in the passing game. So if I had my choice, I would much rather go out and sign Christian Kirk and let Debo walk opposed to bringing Debo back. Now, do I put a lot of stake on McCaffrey coming back off the injury? No, not for this upcoming season. I can't really. I'm gonna say that he's not a guy that I'm gonna say that I can depend on. Lane, he's a young up and comer, but when it comes to Debo, I just think that it just depends on what style of offense you want to run. But if I need my quarterback to drop back and throw the ball, opposite of Terry, I want a tall and I want a very fast wide receiver that can put some type of pressure on the defense. And I just don't think that Debo brings that.
All right, the Commanders' defense, whoever winds up as the team's defensive coordinator, what kind of a defense would you like to see that person run?
I think the Commanders just have to get younger. I think that's what it is. These guys were just too slow. Um, I'm not a fan, and I've been saying this for years, and I'm just also speaking as a running back. I know the interior of the Commanders' defensive line, they caught a lot of negative publicity. But I think when you line up your defense and you leave the center uncovered, I feel like that you're doing your interior lineman a great injustice because and the linebackers because what you're doing is you're allowing your you're allowing that center to get a clear, clean double team on whoever the lineman is, whether it's the nose or the D tackle, and they're going to be able to climb up to the linebackers a lot faster, which is why a lot of the times the linebackers were getting blocked because the defensive lineman was getting pushed back into their lap. So I want to see a true 4-3 over and under. That's where you either have somebody that's shaded on the center in a three technique, but defensively they just have to get faster. There are a number of guys that I think that you need to just get rid of, like Igbenogany. He needs to go. I'm not a fan of Reeves. He needs to go. I think the two young corners you have, I think that if you could just continue to work with those guys and develop those guys, maybe add another veteran corner. But you need a dominant edge rusher. If you can go and get that guy from Cincinnati, spend your money on a dominant edge rusher. See if you can work out some type of free agent signing with a linebacker who's finished their rookie year to get faster at the linebacker position. I think that Frankie Louvu will probably serve best if he was coming off of the edge because he can make. I mean, he can cause all types of trouble, but it's just the defense was just too slow, man. That's why teams were able to beat them on the edges. And if you're not getting a pass rush and you aren't disciplined in the back, if you're not disciplined in the secondary, then teams are going to slice you up. But these quarterbacks with these teams, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, you can't give Dak all day to throw the ball because I don't care who your secondary is. When you have to deal with Pickett and you have to deal with CD Lamb, that is a tall task for any secondary. So I just want to see the Commanders get younger and definitely get a lot faster at the linebacker position.
We on Wednesday afternoon had reports that the Commanders on Wednesday were interviewing Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores for the Commanders defensive coordinator vacancy. Brian Flores began his coaching career as a coaching assistant for the New England Patriots in the 2008 season. You were on the Patriots for the 2008 season. That was your final NFL season. Did you have any interactions with or observations of Brian Flores?
Not too much. I just got a chance to kind of see how he worked. That year, I was injured for 8 seasons. I mean, 8 weeks. I had torn my calf.
Okay.
But I remember every time I saw a picture of him after that, I was like, man, I know this guy. Where do I know him from? And I was like, oh shoot, he was out with the Patriots.
Yeah.
When I see him on TV coaching, I see the same guy that I saw in New England. Like he's just locked in, he's focused, like he's just that type of guy. And to be honest with you, every coach under Coach Belichick, that's just how they were. They're just locked in, attention to details, and so yeah, that's pretty much how it was.
You may have already answered this question in saying that the Commanders' defense needs to get faster, but linebacker Bobby Wagner in the 2026 offseason is set to be an unrestricted free agent. Should the team re-sign him?
I think that you re-sign Bobby if he's not getting as many snaps as he's getting when you're playing against faster teams. So case in point, if I'm playing against the New England Patriots, yeah, I want Bobby Wagner because their run game is based on coming downhill at you. Most of the time, they're going to line up with a tight end or they're going to line up with two backs in the backfield. That type of scheme benefits Bobby Wagner. But if I'm playing against a team that's going to spread the ball out and I have fast running backs, the one thing that you consistently saw is that anytime Bobby Wagner had to check a running back, a fast running back out the backfield, that's a total mismatch. So for leadership purposes, yeah, I think you bring Bobby Wagner back. But I feel like if you can just get some studs in free agency and you don't have to bring Bobby Wagner back, then you don't. But for me, when it comes to him, whatever decision they make, I'll be happy with. But you just have to make sure that you're willing to take him off the field when it doesn't benefit the defense.
Getting away from the Commanders, the best running back in the NFL right now is who?
Man, Galdi, look, when I got the text from you, I was driving in my car most of the day thinking, okay, how would I rank the top 10 backs in the NFL? Who would be the top 5? And what I settled on is Bijan Robinson, McCaffrey, and Breece Hall, in my opinion, are the top 3 backs in the league. I don't think that people really understand how good of a running back Breece Hall is because he's been playing for the Jets for his whole career. Breece Hall is one of those backs that if you get him to the right place where he has other weapons around him and he's in a good, put it this way, if the Dallas Cowboys decide to say, hey, you know what, we want to give Breece Hall whatever he wants, and you add that to Pickens, you add that to what the Dallas Cowboys have, I'll tell you that the Dallas Cowboys will by far be the best offense in the National Football League. If the Rams made a decision and said, hey, I want to go and get Breece Hall, the Rams would be the best. But to your question, it's between those 3. It's between McCaffrey, it's between Robinson and Breece Hall.
Former NFL running back, legendary former Maryland running back, and current sideline analyst for radio broadcasts of Maryland football games, LaMont Jordan. LaMont, thanks a lot. All the best.
No problem, Al. It's good to talk to you, man. Anytime, just hit me up.
All right. If you have a case, contact the NACE Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group, accident and injury lawyers, and mention that Al Galdi sent you. You could call 202-902-7611. You could also visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com, and submit for a free, no-obligation case review. The NACE Law Group features compassionate lawyers and zealous advocates for its clients, led by the great Chris Nace and founded in 1979. The NACE Law Group is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The NACE Law Group is outstanding. It will fight for you and your family. The NACE Law Group has recovered millions of dollars for the sick and injured. If you have a case, contact The NACE Law Group, call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. So this episode of the podcast is for Friday, January 16th, 2026, what is the 20-year anniversary of The Goal. The Goal is the most famous goal scored by the greatest player in Washington Capitals history, the great eight, winger Alex Ovechkin. January 16th, 2006, a 6-1 Caps win at the Phoenix Coyotes. Ovi scored an amazing goal from his back. That is known as The Goal. Here was the call of The Goal on what was then Comcast Sportsnet Mid-Atlantic and now was Monumental Sports Network. Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin.
Got there first for Wayne Gretzky's Coyotes. Phoenix trailing by 4 with 8:15 to go in the third. Jones keeps it hot on the outside, and Brendan Witzman everywhere for Washington to play clear. Ovechkin storming in. Alexander Ovechkin curl and drag to the back end. He scores! Simply sensational!
I thought he did it all the other night. Well, this is a carryover. This may be his prettiest goal of the season. Goal number 32. Even Wayne Gretzky, the great one's going to see how this one went in. A spectacular display of stick handling on his back, and he hooks it past Boucher.
And how appropriate is it that the great one, Wayne Gretzky, was the Coyotes' head coach at the time, as Alex Ovechkin, of course, went on to break Gretzky's NHL record for career regular season goals. Well, we on Thursday night had a highlight-worthy goal by the Caps, not by Ovi, but by winger Ryan Leonard, but the goal came in yet another loss for the Caps, a 3-2 loss to the San Jose Sharks at Capital One Arena on Thursday night. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 24-18-6, good for 54 points, tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins for third place in the Metropolitan Division, but the Caps have played 2 more games than the Penguins have played, and the Caps over their last 20 games now are just 7-9-4. Consider this, the Caps have not had a winning streak since a 6-game winning streak that ended with a 4-3 shootout loss at the Anaheim Ducks on December 5th. The Caps in this loss to the Sharks on Thursday night got back defenseman Jacob Chychrun. He returned from a 2-game absence caused by illness. He had a secondary assist and a team-high tying 3 shots on goal, but committed a third-period slashing minor. But the Caps remain without multiple key players. Forward Justin Sourdif did not play for a second consecutive game due to an upper body injury. Winger Tom Wilson did not play for a 6th consecutive game due to a lower body injury. And center Pierre-Luc Dubois remains out since getting injured in the Caps' 3-1 loss to the New York Islanders at Capital One Arena on Halloween. He on November 7th underwent surgery to address injuries to his abdominal and adductor muscles, was expected to miss 3 to 4 months. The Caps in this loss to the Sharks on Thursday night lost the puck possession battle. The Caps had 23 shots on goal to the Sharks' 26, and per natural stat trick had 35 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Sharks' 44, including just 5 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Sharks' 11. I mean, how about this? The Caps, over the first 2 periods, had just 9 shots on goal. Nowhere near good enough. The post-game press conference of Caps head coach Spencer Carberry on Thursday night began with this exchange between Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network and Carberry. And then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Caps insider Mike Vogel of WashingtonCaps.com and Carberry. And then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Caps insider Bailey Johnson of the Washington Post and Carberry.
Another really good third period, Spencer. But I think 9 shots through the first 40. What are you seeing there with your starts?
Well, not even close to good enough for the first 40 minutes. I mean, I could dive into a bunch of the X's and O's, reason why. That's what we'll get to work on finding out why.
You get a couple of chances from Bo there in the first half minute, and then I think it's about 25 minutes before you get another shot from inside the offensive zone. How that seems to be something that's cropping up here and there throughout this stretch where you go just long stretches of games without threatening at all. How do you fix that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an X's and O's thing. It's a consistency of being able to repeat a certain way that is required for us to play to have success in this league. That's as simply put as I can put it. It's an ability to do it time and time and time again. So that shifts, periods, games, break it down to whatever you want, is our ability to be able to do that. And you could encompass that all in consistency, but that's game to game, period to period, just not able to sustain it and do it for long enough consistently.
Why isn't your group able to do that?
Well, that's what we'll continue to work to find out why and help the group be able to do it. That's our job as coaches, is we'll just continue to hammer home the things or the way it needs to look, and then you get to work on teaching it individually and as a group. And yeah, by this time, I mean, we're almost at game 50, right? So there's to say it's concerning that we can't get any traction and we aren't able to do it for 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Okay, let's take even a step back from games 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 periods in a row. It's concerning.
Yeah, Spencer Carberry not at all happy with his team. You know, the Caps for this regular season are number 2 in the Eastern Conference in goal differential, plus 17. But the team right now is struggling. The Caps starting goaltender for this loss to the Sharks on Thursday night was Logan Thompson. He stopped 23 of the 26 shots on goal that he faced. The Caps did have a good game on special teams, 3 for 3 on the penalty kill and 1 for 2 on the power play. Top line center Dylan Strome scored a power play goal, 10:58 into the second period for his 11th goal in this regular season. He had a team-high tying 3 shots on goal. Did go just 10 and 16 on faceoffs. As for the highlight-worthy goal, Caps third-line right wing Ryan Leonard, he scored an even-strength goal, 9-11 into the third period for his 10th goal in this regular season. He, with the puck, weaved his way into the high slot just outside the left circle and then got off a snapshot. Tremendous goal by Leonard. Here was the call by John Walton on the Washington Capitals radio network.
And Leonard weaves and scores! Ryan Leonard with a puck into the top right corner after dinking around Reeves on the curl and drag. Puts it home, and it's a 1-goal game at 3-2.
Yes, it was, but that would be the final score. Ryan Leonard, though, now is the 7th Caps player to have at least 10 goals in this regular season, joining Tom Wilson, Alex Ovechkin, Alexi Protas, Jacob Chychrun, Dylan Strome, and Ethan Frank. Speaking of Alex Ovechkin, he in this loss to the Sharks on Thursday night as the Caps' top-line left wing had a primary assist for his 21st assist in this regular season. He had a team-high tying 7 total shot attempts, including a team-high tying 3 shots on goal. The Caps' healthy scratches for this game were defensemen Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Declan Chisholm. More from Spencer Carberry's postgame press conference on Thursday night, where during the presser had this exchange between Caps insider Sammy Silber of the Hockey News and Carberry.
How do you avoid the frustration building when it's, one night it's a win and then it's a loss, then it's a win? How do you avoid frustration just with the entire team going forward?
Well, I mean, it's impossible to avoid frustration. Now, what you're probably getting at is that, okay, so everybody's frustrated in there right now, players, staff, coaches. Okay, what do you do about it? So how are you going to fix that? So that's where my brain will go in about 10, 15 minutes and where our players' brain should go is, how am I going to fix that? How am I going to be able to bring it consistently Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, repeat, day off, perfect, Monday, Tuesday. And that's what we need to do a better job as an entire group of problem solving. How am I going to be able to bring it consistently so my game looks at this level on Monday, Tuesday it looks like this, Wednesday it goes here, Thursday it's right here, Friday, that's what is required, right? And so we'll identify the things, work individually and collectively, continue to teach and help our group be able to play consistently at a higher level.
All right, the Caps this weekend have one game, home to the Florida Panthers, Saturday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Monday's show, episode 1241. We'll have a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Monday's show, discuss the Washington Capitals, the Washington Wizards, and college basketball. The Caps this weekend have one game home to the Florida Panthers Saturday night at 7. The Wizards this weekend have games on back-to-back nights at the Sacramento Kings Friday night at 10 and at the Denver Nuggets Saturday night at 9. College basketball this weekend includes Maryland home to Penn State Sunday at noon, Georgetown home to number 3 UConn Saturday at noon, number 16 Virginia at SMU Saturday at noon, and Virginia Tech home to Notre Dame Saturday at noon. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Dynamite!